Okay.
Warming up.
Hello, we're back. We're alive, awake, all these things.
Happy New Year.
Right? It's mid-month.
For the show, it's our first episode this year.
Yep, first board game discussion, first episode of the year.
So Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
If you are watching this is a recorded live stream, which means you can jump forward to the start of the show or you can watch us ramble before the show starts.
Okay, do note you can only jump forward if you're watching the recorded version of this episode. If you have tuned in live, I would be very impressed if you find a way to jump forward. Then, if that were the case, I hope you can help us all jump forward past this pandemic.
Mm.
Pandemic! Speaking of pandemic, where'd it go?
No longer available in all online
Digital.
stores.
Yeah.
But if you already purchased it, you can actually still download and play it.
Yeah, it's still in your like your Steam library so far.
On iOS, you could check under your purchases and you'll find it there. Make sure to click the not on the iPad or not on the device button. Okay, video feed is on Facebook.
Facebook.
Now resharing it with our group.
There's my live stream reminder. Oh, and then like if you want to be a on the mailing list, then you have to find us on Facebook, and then we'll add you to a messenger group. Uh, and then people have a tendency to share memes sometimes.
Mm-mm.
But to be fair, it's on topic because it's like punny in the vein of the show. There's also a preponderance of things about ducks, so you've been warned. I don't have YouTube up yet. Hello, Creator Studio. Haven't seen you in a while. Yes.
Okay, I see us on YouTube.
Hoorah.
Excuse me. So we're running on YouTube, we're running on Facebook.
And we hope your week has been going well.
Profile shared. And then I can share this with one of the groups I'm in. Because you can play the game solo.
Oh, okay, that's fair. Okay. It is the evil. I decided to clear my email before the end of the day.
My nose is so itchy. Hey Mitch, nice to have you with us. Hey Andre. So those who are watching, if you are on the stream, we can't actually tell you're there until you send us comments. So please, if you're not watching the recording and you're actually in the live stream, send comments our way so we know you're there.
Hey guys, Toby has a new iPad, but then he's not yet using it because it's he's still getting it set up. And because his official iPad backup cannot be used for his new iPad because it's too old. He's too old. I just wanted to share that.
That was an embarrassing reel.
At first, like the backup's so old. It's from December, so
Yeah.
so backs up his old
And
iPad
it's
again.
not old that it's from December, but old that it's iPad 2.
iPad 2 trying to migrate to an iPad Pro M1 chip, and like no,
So
no.
no,
So-
I didn't like it. No, it's a terrible haircut. This is me having trimmed it myself because of frustrations of hearing people not liking my long weird hair before. So yeah, I cut it.
But it's nice. I think it's nice.
Now, no, it's like chickeny. Like, bokbokes.
I don't mind.
Yeah. Parang kulang na lang I'll have an eagle tattoo and I'll be like, you know, Cobra Kai.
That was a
Ah,
hawk. It was supposed to be a hawk because he was hawk.
yeah, but he's not Lasallian or Metanian. So, anyway,
It can be wrong naman eh. Okay.
dapat duck hair.
What is a duck haircut?
So I can like make it white and then this is yellow.
Okay, no. That's probably not going to make you look like a director at work.
I'll be a creative director, so it works. So yeah, we're gonna start in a few more minutes.
Or we could probably just start. It's a, it's notice there's no like stage here because the game is small.
I think we can prop it up.
I would do like a single black. What was that box we were doing? Unless you want to use Dune Imperium.
I was about to say.
Guys, we have the Dune Imperium upgrade box, and then at first I was like, "Why is this thing so freaking big? It's so impractical, and it's just supposed to be minis." And like, true, it added minis to the game, but then it's also an alternate storage solution that can fit already the next expansion and the minis. So I was like, okay, I guess that makes sense. I sorry, I because we had to double check if the sleeves were in the box. I had to open it. We didn't make it a video. Um, we could discuss it some other time, but there's only so much you can do.
I think we'll still prop it up with the
Tunk.
I think that's fine. Okay. I guess we can start. We can start.
Oh, it's McCoy. Hello. All right, we're gonna start the episode. So let me hide the. Oh, and see, I'm so not ready. I didn't load the video. Okay.
We're so not used to doing this.
Yeah, we're gonna get back in the groove. First show of the year, guys. First show of 2022. Wow. All right. We'll roll.
20, 22. Never mind.
Wait, I need to, my headphones are still on, and have the audio. Okay. All right. Okay, starting. So, roll credits. Right back.
Oh yeah! Really great!
This is Toby.
And this is Rocky.
And if it's your first time here, welcome to Baduy Pride, our little space on the internet where we talk about anything we want.
It's completely unscripted and not entirely accurate, but at least it's honest. Join us as we talk about everything and anything random live.
And if it's not your first time here, thank you so much for joining us again. Today, we're talking about one of the other escape room experiences that we've tried.
Because Toby knows I'm a sucker for these things.
And we really enjoy seeing how they come up with different
That is
ways.
true. The
to
game
capture-
is called Deckscape.
Yes.
Well, the line of this game is called Deckscape, and the very first game in the line is called Test Time, which makes for a weird, slight tongue twister of Deckscape Test Time. But that's the name of the game. And Ings is over on YouTube. Hello, Ings. Welcome to the stream.
And I guess we might as well start with that.
Oh, okay.
And that's good enough. Deckscape is our new escape room in a box sort of gameplay wherein you have a deck of cards, and through this deck of cards, you find your way to solve the puzzles inside and escape.
It was designed by Martino, Chiacchiera, I probably got that wrong, and Silvano, Sorrentino. Are they Italian? It sounds Italian.
The game is,
And it's published by DV Giocchi. Okay.
The game's listed to be playable solo, but can go as many as 6 players. I think it can go as many as even more than that, as long as you are
isn't
all
that
willing
funny?
to help each other.
Yeah, isn't that funny about a lot of escape room games? It's always like they try to give it a player rating, but by right, you could just have a room full of people all trying to solve the puzzles. It just depends on how good your eyesight is.
It makes use of different mechanics such as cooperative play, moving through the deck, and real-time challenges.
So in this game consists of 60 cards. So far in the first game, and it's not a spoiler, but it's only cards in the first box. I don't know if that's different for other ones. There are quite a number of Deckscapes already released.
First released in 2017.
Yeah.
Well, at least the English version. I'm not sure about the earlier
That is
foreign
true.
language versions. Deckscape is said to be unique according to their website, which is
GOT, the
deckscape.dvgyochi.com,
publisher.
because you don't have to read the rules before playing. You open the box and you discover the world of enigmas and adventures that await. There are many different and original puzzles. It's a fast-paced game where you turn over the card and you check the solution. You are you are asked to use your intuition. You're supposed to work as a team. It costs less than one ticket of an escape room. That's true. I guess in their country, in our case, it's like for two or three people. Economical, pocket-sized format, and you play where you want. Because yes, as mentioned, the game is just a deck of cards. There's nothing else but the deck of cards.
Okay, as far as escape room games go, okay,
Mm.
this is definitely one of the most compact we've ever encountered. The closest we can get to it, where it's a game with just cards,
Mhm.
sort of, is like almost 50 clues,
Mhm.
which is which is the more mature content warning game.
Mhm.
But it's strictly cards, but it's cards and a website. So this doesn't even have a website. It is strictly just a deck of cards. It's a single playthrough,
Mhm.
um, but it wasn't a terrible experience.
In the style of many legacy games, when you get the deck of cards, the back immediately warns you not to go through the deck immediately. The front tells you not to move forward unless you're told to do so. And as you go through it, each card gives you the instructions. It tells you when to proceed to the other side or when to flip the card. And we have found it amusing that there is a point in time it doesn't tell you to turn the card and you'll turn it out of habit and it says you weren't instructed to turn the card.
But don't worry, it's part of the tutorial portion of the cards. So yeah, so there is no separate manual for this, and that kind of surprised me. When you open the box, you're immediately greeted with the warning card, and then it's the warning card on the back. There's nothing. There's not even a brochure. It's just you got your deck.
In many ways, it's the charm of the game because as you go through it, you're already wondering what's going to happen. You go through the first card, you start learning about the story behind the deck. You go through the next card, you start to realize that you're supposed to flip things over, read through it before you move to the next one. And it's prepping you on the basic system of the game, which is you deal with the cards that are on the top of the deck. It doesn't mean there's only one deck.
Yeah. And then there's like in terms of general format, you kind of have your big upper area, and then typically there's at the bottom there's a little bar that'll tell you if it's proceed to the next
Mhm.
card, flip this card. So that kind of gives you that physical instruction, and that's like the basic anatomy of the cards in the game.
Mhm.
Now later on, and then this is already like a tutorial portion of it. It will explain that there are puzzle cards and item cards. So item cards you keep, puzzle cards you try to solve, and you will need items to solve puzzles,
Mhm.
and if you don't have the right item, you get more penalty points than normal.
Given that everything is in the deck or multiple decks, it allows you some level of control wherein you look at the top of each deck and those are the puzzles you try to solve. If you're if you think you have the solution, you discuss it with your team, decide on that solution. You then flip that card over and see if you are right. If you are wrong, then one of the cards earlier is a scorecard where you can track your mistakes, and these will be vital in computing the points later on. If you're not sure, there are clue cards that are provided. And interestingly, they need a mirror to be read.
They are reversed.
So that nicely still keeps you from spoiling yourself too quickly if you look at the cards.
So unlike, and then we played a lot of these escape room games. Our very first was Exit. So Exit's approach was that it had a hint card system. It had a separate riddle deck versus the answer deck, whatever. So that was like it had a multiple kind of gate system. Games like Unlock require an app, and the app is your gate
Yes.
because you key in codes, you interact with machines and
Mm.
all that. So the app kind of governed your game.
Mhm.
50 Clues had a website where you had to
Yes.
enter codes as well,
Same with adventure
which
game.
also had your gating
Mm.
mechanism. Mystery House
Had enough.
had an app also.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is one of the few games that totally removes the need for any other device. You literally play with just the deck of cards. You are, however, recommended to have paper and pencils because there are times you will want to try to come up with the solutions, try to scribble stuff down. It is not a legacy type of experience, so it's not like Exit where you destroy things or you ruin
So far,
things. So far,
we've
um,
only tested one game.
it has a nice feel similar to old school adventure games because you do find yourself accumulating objects,
Yeah,
and then later on you're like, oh, maybe we should use this on that. And since you're not necessarily combining things to see something happen sometimes, um, it really makes you feel that tension of do we got the idea right.
yeah, and the fact that the solution is just on the back of the card. I mean,
Mhm.
literally, you once you've committed to an answer, you get one shot and you flip the card.
Yes.
Well, unlike other games where, like in Exit, you test the solution, you key in the number in the decoder wheel, and then you check, and then if the combination is valid, it will lead you to another card. But if it isn't, then you just keep trying.
How did you feel about that? That the fact that there's only one
It was
try.
intimidating at first.
Mhm.
It's kind of scary. I thought it could be like, oh, it's a little simplistic. I mean,
Mhm.
from a design perspective, you're like, oh, it's a little simplistic. You just flip the card over. But then, as we went through the game, it was like, oh crap. So we only get one shot at each puzzle,
Mm.
and then if you don't, you get a penalty. And we did make a mistake, and it was a mistake involving an item. So that means two penalty points. And like,
Yeah,
so frustrated.
because the cards sometimes require items to solve, and it won't tell you that. You have to figure it out. You have to realize it. So when you make mistakes and it had an item required, the card actually tells you if you made a mistake because you didn't have this item yet, then you have double the mistake points.
Yeah, and that made for a nice, it's a pretty brilliant way of
Mm.
executing it. It's very tight. Um, so they live up to their promise that it is a travel friendly game, and that's pretty cool. And this box size is what it's about the size of a Flux deck. If everyone's played Flux, it's quite small. It's quite small, and the cards are kind of wide. I would not even bother thinking about sleeving them because you're gonna play them once, and they're fairly thick card stock, so that's not bad.
At the risk of possibly spoiling some of the cards, I just want to show that it's beautifully illustrated, very colorful,
Oh
very
yeah,
detailed. It's not like other games wherein the card is our card art is minimalistic, or you're forced to just imagine
yeah.
what
This
you're
one
dealing
there
with.
was a lot of detail on the
Yeah.
different cards, and I liked how there was a lot of kind of like not direct interaction, but
Mm.
there's a continuity of my item looks like this, my puzzle looks like this. When I combine them together, the resulting image looks like they were put together.
Yeah.
So that was a nice little touch on that.
Some moments where you might find yourself worrying if the translations had some issues, because there are times wherein, okay, so we're supposed to solve this, but they're telling us to just do that. What does that mean? And I guess it's part of the challenge sometimes when you're dealing with games where um, the very way things are stated can affect how you think of the puzzle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So be wary of that. That can be frustrating for people who are very quickly annoyed by those type of matters.
And then at the same time, though, it is a game with a lot of reading.
Hmm.
There is a lot of text on these cards. Whether it's the solutions, and it's like there is so much going on. And for some people that can be annoying. I mean, like when you especially if you come from games like Unlock is very minimalist
Hmm.
in terms of their text. It's a lot of big icons. You have your basic symbology of red cards plus blue cards, green cards prompt machines, yellow cards prompt codes, and all
Hmm.
that. This one, um, it's not, and then it's you flip a card over and you're greeted by this wall of text
Hmm.
because of the fact that when you are solving a puzzle, it's also obliged to tell you the solution and how you got it, and then
Yes.
to continue the narrative, which is a tall order for a card.
Yes.
But I think they did pretty well. But there is that warning that it does require reading. It's also probably why the game is rated for like ages 12 and up.
Mm.
It does need like intermediate grade school sort of experience.
The game, however, does stress that all you need to solve each puzzle is knowledge provided by the game itself. So we found ourselves at some points thinking, oh, okay, is this some sort of code cracking thing where you have to use this type of cipher? Then you realize, wait, no, 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 think back. They provided this, they provide this, just substitute or something like that.
Yeah.
So
Or worse, it was like it was in the corner of the card. I think this
are we supposed to
this
solve this math?
configuration looks familiar.
Are we supposed to
Um,
solve this math? Remember, there was at one point when we
Yeah,
were playing.
which you were adamant. Oh my god, do we have to solve this? And I'm like, no.
And
Uh,
it's partly because the designer Martino himself, according to Board Game Geek, lists himself as someone who always wants to find peculiar and innovative gimmicks or new components in their games.
see, look at that.
So his
So Martino
goal
is
is to
Italian but
design-
living in Germany.
Yeah, his goal is to design remarkable experiences. He's also worked on other games such as Wonder Book and the Detective series, which is something we will eventually cover once we have our top
He's
each of it.
definitely on this deck thing. Deckscape, Detective.
But as far as Deckscape, Time Test is the first one out. We played through it. We didn't necessarily breeze through it,
Yeah, we got stuck in
But-
some parts,
but
but
we didn't need the hints.
yeah, yeah. And I think that just speaks also of like we're pretty experienced puzzlers together. And so that worked out well. How did you feel about the narrative? It had a whole scientist time travel thing.
Um,
I think in the first half, it felt like a lot of puzzle upon puzzle upon puzzle.
mhm.
But kind of that latter half, like, ooh, the narrative came back and became important.
Yeah, I feel also that the narrative was a bit strange.
Mm,
It didn't necessarily connect the puzzles that nicely together.
yeah,
But in many ways, that's the advantage games like Exit have because they're allowed to use multiple instances to tell the story.
yeah, yeah.
Like Exit sometimes will be tell the story with this one and then another card to tell the story, or in the case of the Advent Calendar, entire pages to tell the story. But it really helps though when you have games give a narrative because then you end up also thinking of the puzzle with that narrative in mind. One of the favorites in Exit that we had, for example, was the Polar Station, and some of the puzzles in that box had us thinking of things because we were in a polar city.
Mm.
So it had us working with
Or
our
that
mind.
Enchanted Forest one. I
Yes,
love that
Enchanted
Enchanted
Forest is so
Forest
good.
one. Okay, okay.
For Deckscape, we actually enjoyed this one. It
Yeah.
wasn't bad.
I mean, obviously, this was the first. We played the very 1st
Mhm.
game in the series.
We found it interesting. Of course, some of the puzzles we recognized them as okay. We know this is like that one before, but there were a few that did catch us off guard and made us go, "Wait a minute!" And then, "Oh yeah, that makes sense. Okay, let's try that." Um,
And
we-
then I like the pros and cons of a persistent inventory. So a
Mhm.
lot of card games, including the likes of Unlock and 50 Clues, prompt you to discard cards that are no longer needed.
Yeah.
This does not do that. So suddenly your inventory is very big from cards dating back to the first
Very
round of the
adventure
game.
game.
But at the same time, um, we had cases where we had to use very early
Mm.
cards to solve much later puzzles.
details always matter.
And I like that. I really like that about the game.
Now,
Um,
Test Time is the first of the Deckscape Pocket Escape Room game series. Among them are Fate of London. We have Crew versus Crew.
Well,
but,
it's, yeah.
but there's many others such as The Mystery of El Dorado, The Heist in Venice, Behind the Curtain, Curse of the Sphinx, Escape from Alcatraz, and Dracula's Castle that are available out there. If you can find them, grab them. If you find them in the secondary market where people are selling games they've already played, grab them still because there's no destruction of components, so it's fully playable. The cards use a resettable system, so even if you're done, you can reset and then you can have friends, family play. You can play it a year from now when you've forgotten how you solved it, and it still works.
Yeah, so actually all of Toby's found these first 3 editions, they're all secondhand copies. They're all open.
I think this was
No
from
regrets.
one person. This was from another person.
Yeah. It was something like that. So
Because someone beat me to the other games he was also selling.
Mark McCoy is asking, can you play it remotely? That's hard. I'll admit. It's possible.
Yeah.
You-
It's hard because you want to use the card You
You
start,
want to examine
yeah,
the
you want
card.
to like hold it certain ways, or but it's not impossible.
I mean, like you can have a camera dedicated pointing at the card, the
Mm.
decks that are on top,
Or
and
you can
then
have someone flash it because it's not it's not okay, how do I say this? As long as you're not looking at the other side.
yes, as
So
long as you
like,
don't flip it over
so if
before
this was
you're
a
prompted.
puzzle and I were going to flash it on the camera, I have to make sure I cover the back, or else I'm seeing the
You're
solution.
you're getting spoiled for the solution. Yeah, I think the only other challenge is the inventory because the
Mm.
inventory gets really big. I think we ended with
Around 8, 9 of
yeah, like
these.
about 10 cards.
Yeah.
Okay, and so that's a lot of cards to have on the side, and so to remember what's in your inventory, that's a little hard to capture on camera, but not impossible. Not impossible.
Oh my
Okay.
god. Okay, I have to answer later on Twitter. I think Flying Frog has noticed my complaints. Anyway,
Complaints about what? Oh,
my
you're
pre-orders have not appeared in over a year now. So
ah okay, yes, because we still love Fortune and Glory,
yes,
but
I
then the
really, really love
expansions are
Fortune and
like
Glory.
bizarre. Okay, all right, but today we're talking about Deckscape. So,
Do you recommend Deckscape?
I think I can still recommend Deckscape, especially if you are someone who has not played a lot of escape room games. You want to get into the genre. You want a puzzle game. You want something to do with family because this is like an all ages. Anyone can play this game. I like that. It doesn't need a lot of gaming experience to play
Mhm.
it. It just needs a bit more ingenuity.
Mhm.
So super, super, super appreciate that. Wow, someone has a set on Lazada.
So the gaming library.
That's
So
Gaming Live also.
Deckscape seems to average around 800 pesos in different shops online. Um,
That's a new retail copy.
there was a point in time when gaming library is actually selling a collection, and I kind of missed that one. So sad, sad, sad. But yeah, that would have been nice to have
Sad.
gotten all of it in one go. So you might want to grab it when you see the opportunity to do so. What else? What else about it?
And if you like Deckscape, then it's pretty easy to transition into other escape room in a box games.
Yes.
I think your next logical step from Deckscape is probably going to be Unlock because it's a similar card based system. It just adds the app as a new gating mechanism.
Deckscape or Unlock?
In terms of preference, of course I like Unlock more.
Okay.
But to be fair to Unlock, they've been around for a while.
They've learned a lot of tricks.
They've learned a lot of things because when we first played Unlock, we were like, they are not even close to the joy of Exit.
That's true.
So that's
But then there have been really, really good unlocks.
they've been really, really good unlocks.
So
So
this-
there have been some really
I
difficult.
feel this
annoying
is quite
exits.
promising.
Yeah, it's a
I
good
feel,
line.
I feel they have a lot of potential. I do hope they have better translators. Only because I think it's safe to say that if you're ever doing escape room type of experiences, the last sentence has to be directive. It has to tell you how you'll answer the riddle.
It has to be very specific.
Because if it's a bit broad sometimes, players might end up going, so how are we supposed to do that?
yeah, and like I said, it is a game with a lot of text. So for it to be kind of dependent on the quality of the translations, that makes it tricky. Unintentionally more difficult than it needs to be.
Yes, Mitch shares The Wizard of Oz Unlock is good.
It's one of our favorites.
I
Very,
think
very good narrative.
The Wizard
driven.
of Oz was really, really good. The sets have been fantastic, especially the most recent one with the spice and the Wuxia story.
Unlock number 7.
Yeah.
Because all of the games were related to number 7.
And then, oh my gosh, the Star Wars one is
Star Wars
amazing.
Unlock is really
It's so good.
good. So I think Unlock's been shining on the franchise narrative.
Exit
front.
has to catch up now, but the Advent calendar has leapt it forward
Ex-
again.
Exit Advent Calendar was a reminder that hey, we know our puzzles and we have brought something else.
And
to
it
the
wasn't
game.
playing safe.
No,
There was a lot
no.
of big. We're gonna do what?
Yeah.
Am I doing this? Am I really doing this? And that's the charm of Exit. The
We'll
fact
be free. We'll be happy to invite people to like a Google Meet call to show you what happened to our Advent Calendar box because it is so different from when it began.
And
But
then
yeah.
to close, I hope Deckscape maintains this format. I hope they
this
don't,
like this size and this compactness.
and it's only cards.
Yeah.
I hope they maintain it.
They're
because-
trying something with this one though, because in the crew versus crew. It's a team. It's a PvP aspect. It's a team
Mm.
versus team. So I don't know how that's gonna work.
I just hope they don't try to sneak in components
Ah, okay.
because
Like suddenly there's a dog. Or
because like let's say they start putting in small tokens or small other objects, then that might affect the price range. But then that will now have you compare it to exit.
yes.
So I'm like thinking if this stays in this area, then it
I think it will.
it fulfills a beautiful niche where it will
Because
shine.
their main commitment is the whole pocket size thing. This is super travel ready, and even though it's a single play sort of game, again, like, especially for us, we're the type to bring these around and facilitate the game for friends,
Yes.
and like help and not really help them, but just like watch them go through the
I think
puzzles.
we have a few
Thank
video
you.
clips of our friends playing some of the games we let them, and we're like
Yes,
just watching them, and we can hear them. Oh, why doesn't this work? And we're like, but that was so fun.
we're those friends. All right.
Okay, so that is Deckscape. This is our first episode for 2022. And on Thursday, we are talking about a show that we have fallen in love with so much.
Well, it's also a manga, which is What Did You Eat Yesterday?
Mhm.
And so, yes, if to be fully prepared, you can watch the first season on Netflix and the 3 episode New Year special. Um, there is a movie out that we have not seen yet, but but hey, we're gonna talk about that.
Mhm.
And then I have the advantage. I'm already like 11 volumes into the manga. It's so good, guys.
Mhm.
It's so good, and it's such a different thing. So, yeah, that's what we're talking about on Thursday.
See you on Thursday. And yes, Baduy Pride is back.
Okay.
But thanks for watching.
Yep. So for questions or suggestions for future episodes, you can fill up the Google form at bit.ly, Baduy Pride Ideas. I know we have not been picking from the queue, but then like, hey, we needed something easy this week because
Mhm.
we're getting back into the groove of things, but we will get back to the queue. You can follow us on Twitter, Altobi No Shade, RG Suniko.
You can also check out our blog, baduypride.com, for all the previous episodes and stuff about us.
Feel free to continue the conversation in the comments below and let us know what you thought about this game. Do you like escape room tabletop games, or do you think that we should stick to actual escape rooms? Whatever, let us know in the comments. And be sure to subscribe on Facebook and YouTube so you don't miss our next live stream. Once again, I'm Rocky.
And I'm Toby.
And this is
Baduy
Baduy Pride. Thanks for watching.